Howdy, partners. Now you might think you're already a badass gunslinger, but Weird West ain't like your grandpappy's frontier. Callie, I'm sorry, I'm not doing the voice. Hi guys, I'm Josh from Robot Republic, and here are some tips and tricks to help you start your Weird West adventure. This guide will be split into 3 different sections, each focused on the different aspects of the game. Firstly, we'll look at combat, then stealth, and then the RPG elements. There's a fair amount to get into, so let's get this wagon train rolling. That is the last Western reference, I promise. Combat. Combat is arguably one of the most important parts of Weird West, and is certainly the thing the players will most engage with. However, there are a few things to take note of when starting that aren't explained fantastically well. So, first things first, how does all this work? Shooting makes use of both a cursor and a line of sight. However, the cursor will lock onto enemies, so the main focus should be on the line. For the most part, the line dictates where the bullet will travel, but its main purpose is to let you know when something is in the way of your shot. This will be shown to you by a red dot on the object that will block the path of your bullet. When it comes to combat in Weird West, there are a few things to remember. The first is that your ammo is minimal in the beginning, so you will be swapping weapons often to fight. This means understanding distance and effect. For instance, the shotgun has a much smaller range than you'd expect and needs to be used fairly close to have any effect. The pistol is the most versatile in terms of range and damage, and will have the most ammo available in the early game, so it should be the staple. But make sure to aim your shots rather than blasting as fast as you can. Explosives are also in the game, and using them is one of the best ways to clear a room. However, there are some tricks to them. There are numerous types of explosives to use, but all of them follow the same rules. Their main weakness is how long they take to explode, and the AI will often try and move out of the way. The chemical explosives are much faster to activate, but will do less overall damage to the enemy. One really important thing to note is that the enemies will throw their explosives, and they will kill you quickly if you don't get out of the way. This leads to the next point, and it is an important one. Weird West is not an easy game by any means. The enemies will take you down fast if they can hit you, so staying in cover is important. You can do this by crouching next to any low cover. This will block you from any shots, and the enemies won't be able to see you. While in cover, you can aim, and you will only stand to shoot, so they can't hit you while you're aiming. However, the AI will try and move around, and if they manage to get behind you, you will die. Finally, you can take people onto your team and have them travel with you. These characters essentially work as an extra gun and a distraction, but you can't rely on them. You can equip them however you want, but you need to make sure to give them some healing items. The friendly AI is not great at taking cover, and they will die if too many enemies focus on them, and if they die, they won't be coming back. If you want to travel with a full team, make sure to equip them with some armour if you can afford it, but don't worry too much about it at first. Stealth. Weird West allows you to choose how you can approach situations, and one of the most viable options is stealth. However, doing so requires a few tricks and understanding the options available to you. One of the main things is knowing how enemies react to you and what you're doing. When it comes to stealth, you can see the enemies on the minimap represented by red dots, and their fields of view are represented by red cones. It's pretty simple to understand, and there's quite a bit of leeway in regards to when an enemy will notice you. If they do see you, a question mark will appear above their heads. This question mark will slowly fill until it eventually turns red and they attack. However, the mark will fade if you stay out of sight for long enough. You can elect to leave as many people alive as possible, but let's be honest here, you probably want to take them out. There are a few options available for you, but the main ones are knocking them out or shooting them. Knocking them out involves sneaking behind them and grabbing them. It's doable, but not great if there are more than one enemy. Shooting is a bit more complicated, but it can be done stealthily. If you want to go pure stealth, then you must get a bow as quickly as possible. The bow is silent and great for sniping the occasional foe, but it won't always be an instant kill. In truth, the best use of the bow is to make use of the environmental aspect of the game. For instance, if the enemies are standing in an oil spill, the bow is the best weapon to hit the lamp and set everyone on fire. You can also get a skill that lets the long rifle make a silent shot, and this will be the best killing option available to you. RPG mechanics. Weird West's RPG mechanics are one of the simplest for players to understand, but there are a few things to take note of. Firstly, we need to look at how the character levels up and gains new skills. There is no real leveling system in the game, so your power is measured in 3 different ways. Firstly, you have the skills, which are abilities you can activate in combat. These are upgraded using Nimp relics, which can be found throughout the world. Look for the purple glow. These skills are separated by weapons, and a number for the character as well. All of the skills have different uses depending on the weapons and the situation. For instance, the pistol is the most balanced, while the shotgun is more focused on damage dealing. Take the time to look at what you use and your playstyle and focus on that first. However, the High Noon and Silent Shot skills are arguably 2 of the most useful to begin with. One of the skills that you have unlocked in the beginning is the dodge skill, and trust me, it is one you need to get acquainted with because it will be something you rely on when the faster monsters start to attack. The second thing to look at is the perks that are unlocked using Ace of Spade cards. These cards can be found around the world. Look for the orange glow, or given as rewards for quests. The perks are more focused on things like health and better shop prices. It should be noted also that the perks are tiered, and each successive tier requires more cards. Ideally focus on health for the first few cards, then look at getting the others based on what you need at the time. The final aspect to look at is the gear you have and how it affects levels. As I said previously, there's no real leveling system in Weird West, so you need more powerful weapons to take on more powerful foes. You'll find several weapons and other trinkets while exploring, but focus on the rarer gear to get the best stats. Each weapon has different values for ammo and power, so look for what works for you best. Also remember, you can scrap the worst weapons you pick up to get more bullets, and this is generally a good idea in the early game. Finale. Weird West is a game that truly promotes the play it your way mentality, and there's a lot here for players to explore. These tips aren't everything. There's a lot for you to find yourself, and experimentation is key. However, hopefully we've given you a fighting edge on your journey, and we should help you stay alive. For a little while at least.